Hey friends, today we're diving into why some homes stay on the market longer than others. Buyers often think that sitting means there's a problem, but sometimes it comes down to pricing, timing, or even marketing. So let's break down what's really going on. Today I'm sitting here with Leslie Clarke. Welcome, Leslie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. She's joining us from Carpenter Kessel's home selling team at Compass. So I always love to ask everybody, what is your origin story? How did you end up in real estate?
Well, I worked in retail, I'm going to say maybe 10 years. Yeah, so customer service 10 years prior to contemplating on getting my license. And I used to meet people all day, every day. I was actually a store manager of Foot Locker in the Melbourne Square Mall. And they would tell me, you're just so good. You need to be selling something else, like luxury cars or houses or something like that. So I went ahead, got my license, and started to sell real
Just hit the
estate.
ground running.
Kind of. I was a little bit inferior because I just felt like I don't want to sell anything that I don't know everything about. So I actually got blessed and started working for a top producing agent. She was my sponsor when I came onto my first brokerage that I was with. And 2 weeks after I joined on as her sponsee, her assistant, her admin left. And she was like, do you think you could be my admin for, until I get another one? And I said, sure, no problem. I'd done admin work after leaving Foot Locker. And prior to getting my license, I did admin work for years. So I went ahead. I became her admin for months. I think it was like almost a year, maybe like 6 to 8 months. And I'm so grateful to her to this day. I still talk to her all the time. We're on the same team. But she helped me drastically. It kind of catapulted my career, I feel like, because she was really busy.
Yeah.
And I had no choice but to figure it out.
Yeah, nothing like getting dropped in the deep end and saying, okay, sink or swim.
Yeah, so I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And she's very listing heavy. So I learned the listing side immediately, which was great because most agents, when they begin, they don't. It's usually a buyer's type of, they learn with buyers to begin with. But I loved it, and I'm so grateful to her even now. So
That's awesome.
yeah, that's how I got started, and now I think it's been like 7 years, 8 years, something like that.
Just goes in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, today we're going to be talking a little bit about listings and why they stay on the market. So, first question for you right out of the gate would be why some buyers that have houses sitting on the market, why they often assume that something is wrong with that home.
Usually, there isn't something wrong with the home, and it's just the timing of the market. I feel like maybe 8 or 9 times out of 10, there's nothing wrong with the home. If it's priced correctly, marketed the way that it's supposed to be, and it's a good market. So I'm not going to say a good market. What's a good market? I'm going to say they're moving on average at their pace. So usually, before we list something, we'll go ahead and check our Altus report, see how long it takes for that particular home in that area to sell. And if it's longer and it's still priced correctly, then hey, great. Then it's one of those things where we're gauging what we already have data on. So but then like COVID, when things were moving really quickly, and if those were sitting on the market at that time, yeah, I would imagine there was something wrong with it. But now in the market that we're in today, no. Yeah. It's just not the case. It's more so just the market timing. So I don't think it's just that there's something wrong. There's usually nothing wrong with it. It's just there's too much inventory.
Yeah.
So
what are some of the reasons that stuff does sit on the market for a long time?
Let's say there is a scenario where something does have an actual issue, a foundation issue. The roof needs to be fixed and they don't want to fix it. If there is an actual issue, maybe something, there are some crazy stories, but just a real problem.
We like crazy stories, so feel free to share.
Then maybe something that'll interfere with their inspection, insurance, anything like that. And then therefore that makes the property have to be purchased cash. And maybe the sellers are just like, we don't want to drop it down to that. Maybe they're being unrealistic with their price is probably something that'll help something sit on the market.
Yeah. Speaking of that, how much does pricing strategy impact how long a home stays on the market?
Drastically. It's everything. Marketing and pricing is literally everything. So as long as we do our part and make sure that everyone that's looking actually gets to see it, then it could be priced. I mean, even if it's not priced well, it wouldn't be priced perfectly if it takes time to sell. But if you follow our recommendation, and again, as a seller, it is absolutely their choice. But if they follow our recommendations, we know we're doing our part. Mm-hmm. So we're certain that everyone that's looking is going to see it. It's usually just going to be down to the pricing and how realistic they're going to be with that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, how much do listing photos and marketing strategies and things like that actually impact how quickly you get something moved?
It's everything. For that reason, we only use one media company, and one, just I guess I'll say a photographer specifically. I mean, we do use others for certain things when it comes to videos and stuff like that, but it means everything. You're still selling a product, no matter what. Yes, it's your home, it's your baby, and you love it, and you've done everything you can to it. Whether you think it's worth more or not, I mean, there's typically, as a homeowner, you put the blood, sweat, and tears into making that house exactly what it is. Yeah. So you're always going to think it's worth probably more. Nine times out of 10, they think it's going to be worth more, but. So yeah, they see it's, I guess I'm gonna say it's more of a subjective when it's personal. It's subjective from the other side, like an appraiser,
Sure.
a property appraiser, like tax collectors. When they do their annual assessments when something sells, and then a buyer as well. So I do feel like it's still a product. It has to be presented in the best light possible and priced right and strategically, I guess I should say, priced strategically, and still making sure that it gets the marketing that it needs is literally the formula that we use to make sure that they are sold.
Yeah.
So
First impressions are extremely important too. And you think of the society we live in today, it's like instant gratification. If you're scrolling through something and the first impression isn't spot on, it's on to the next.
Yes, the attention span, I think now with social media and scrolling is probably like 3 seconds.
We've dwindled down a little bit.
So if you're not catching something really quickly in the beginning, you don't have another second chance to show it in its best light.
Yeah. Can a home that's sitting on the market for an extended period of time actually create an opportunity for buyers?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially in this market where we have a good amount of inventory. I mean, it just depends on where you're at in the area because, yes, we all service Brevard County, but in areas where there's less land to build and you're looking for a certain, like you just want to be on this street or in this neighborhood, yeah, it's really competitive. Now, it's more than likely, if priced right, is not going to sit. Even if it's the worst house in that neighborhood, it's not if it's a great spot to be in. But in certain areas of the county, like South County, I'm going to say if there's a lot more inventory or a lot more new construction, it's easier we're coming up in an issue where we have a ton of resales because of the new construction in certain parts of the county. And what that does is the incentives offered by new construction home developers, they interfere with the resale market now. So as a seller, if you just have to sell, you're kind of compensating for the difference in price. So that's kind of where we're at. But so buyers do have a great opportunity because if they see this house sitting and it's longer than it should be and that particular seller needs to get out of it, then yeah, you at that point really do want to shoot your shot for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't mean that they're giving things away. Some people might. You just never know.
What advice would you give buyers that are considering making an offer on a house that's been sitting for a while?
I always tell them to offer. I will give them the pros and the cons to being very low, because I did have a situation where I had a buyer offer, I'm going to say it was, it might have been like $30,000 or $40,000 below. The house was listed at close to $500,000. So questionable on if it's too low or not. It's still a good amount of money, but that was the only time ever that I had sellers come back and decline to respond. They did not want to counter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it would never happen to me before. I definitely let them know prior to, hey, look, this is good and the bad. Sure, if they take it or if they meet us halfway, good, or whatever the case may be, but they may not counter. It's a possibility that they feel disrespected and they don't want to counter, and it can happen. And it did in that particular situation. It ended up working out for the best scenario, actually. They found something else, same neighborhood, that had an additional bedroom, an additional bathroom. The backyard was exactly what they were looking for. But, yeah, I like to give them just to be realistic. You know, I know the younger generation, I feel like they're a little bit more risky with their offers. They like to test the waters as much as they can.
The Wild West of real estate.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's okay. We'll offer as low as we want. If they don't answer, it's not a big deal. But it just depends on how bad you want it, because you don't want to put a bad taste in the seller's mouth before you even get going.
Sure.
So you it's a fine line between how low will you go, and if you knew somebody else got that house after you offered, and it was only $1,000 more, $5,000 more, $10,000 more than what you offered, would you be okay with it?
Right.
You know, that's the question to ask yourself. If you're like, no, actually, I'm okay going a little higher just to make sure, then you got to ask yourself that too. Especially, and usually not usually, every time I will call prior to making an offer, because I want to know what the seller's motivation is. If it's not my listing or one of my colleagues, I want to know what the seller's motivation is. And I want to know, I guess, if they have another offer or not, if they're entertaining something, if they're in negotiation, because that'll make a huge difference on where you do place your original offer. Mm-hmm. So in that particular case where they did not want to counter, they had no offers on the table, and shortly after, they ended up getting 2 after us. So, but the sellers did not, they didn't want to counter at all. So it was interesting, to say the least. But yeah, I wouldn't say let it slip away for something that you're willing to go higher on. You know, it depends on how bad you, as a consumer, as a buyer, you want that property.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If you were approaching a house that was sitting there and listed for a while, what's the first thing that you, as a seasoned agent, would look into to understand why it's been sitting?
I like to ask for their seller's disclosure, or if they had an inspection done. Usually if it's sitting, they probably got an inspection done. If it's sitting for a long time, they have something to share. I like to call the agent. Like I said, I'll call the agent for anything. We're all there for the same. We have the same goal in mind. So I want a backstory. If there's something that they can tell me, I do want to know. There are things that I know to look for based on just experience and working with a lot of inspectors and what they tell us. Hey, look, if you see this going this way, if like there's a diagonal crack, that could be an issue. You want to look for PVC versus poly pipes, like certain things like that. So yeah, I will definitely look for specific things just to make sure that we could tell that the property is insurable, but I am not an inspector. Okay?
Asterisk.
Yeah, I'm not an inspector, although I have, thank God, not been wrong yet. But I won't speak on something I don't know. So that's for sure. Just based on experience and based on general information that I've gotten from inspectors that I've worked with, they'll tell me, hey, look for this, this, and this. So we do look for that. But we're going to get the most information, honestly, from the owners. There was a time where something popped up and it looked like, in the inspection, we did a termite inspection, it appeared where they could have already had some type of work done where they did a tent for termites and whatnot. Based on that inspector's experience. So he did say to me, he said, hey, look, you can call most of the larger inspection company, like termite companies, and see if they've ever done any work on them. Because 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to call the larger companies and see if they get anything out of that. So we didn't end up moving forward with that property, but it was a good, like, something to keep in my mind that, oh, if there's ever an issue and it's something where you would just Google a termite tenting done or whatever the case may be, then at that moment, maybe we'll just call the top 5, and see if they have any reports or anything on it. And then the neighbors, believe it or not, neighbors know everything.
And they want to tell you everything.
Yeah, and they're super helpful. I mean, I remember one of my first transactions ever. I was helping one of my friends from high school. She's still one of my really good friends to this day. And we saw a ton of homes, but she loved this neighbor at the house that she ended up purchasing. That neighbor very recently moved, and this was, 8 years ago. But she essentially ended up, I'm not going to say she just bought the house because of her neighbor, but I said to her, that's something you can't pay for. The lady was the sweetest thing. She worked for Disney, okay? To put it into perspective, you know how people that work at Disney, they don't have bad days.
I would buy a house from Disney Deborah all day.
Yeah, she bought
or
one.
Or if she's my neighbor.
100%.
Yes. Yeah.
And she ended up being just an absolute crucial member in raising her daughter, that it was beautiful. Yeah. And she actually, I went to a soccer game with them to see their daughter play. She plays on my son's team. And Disney Deborah came, even though she moved. She was, so.
We're making love matches here, guys.
Literally. Matchmaking, real estate, and just people. Yeah. So, yeah.
I love it. Building your own community. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, last question for you, and this one's for buyers who might be nervous when they're going to purchase a home that's been sitting for a little while. How do we help them determine whether or not it's actually a good opportunity for them?
I am a very analytics-based person. I'm always, yes, I appear to be very happy and very like, yeah, we can do this. But I do like data and analytics. We do run comparables, comps, just to make sure that they can see what everything else is in the area, not only by what's sold, but what is active and pending. So they have a good idea of what their, I guess I'm going to say like their leading, I'm not going to say a leading indicator, but they can have a good idea of what everything else is in that neighborhood and what that's going for and what type of activity it has. But more so than anything, I work with a team of phenomenal professionals that have seen everything. Not everything, but almost everything. I'll asterisk everything. So not even my TC, like when it comes to legal things or anything like that, like they've seen it all for the most part. So we do get all type of inspections done. If we do a general inspection and requires that we do a more specialized inspection, we're going to do that. If we have to extend our inspection period because we need to make sure that this is sound, we're going to do that. It's not just a simple, oh, yeah, we just do this inspection and we're done and it's all good. I need to sleep at night. Yeah. Okay, and I can only do that if I am happy with, they have to be happy with their purchase, but if I feel like I'm comfortable buying it myself, then I'm okay and I can sleep at night. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is our careers and we take, this is all we do, all I do. It's just I have to sleep at night.
We have to take care of our community first.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'm never going to put somebody in a place where I don't feel confident in what we received back as reports and insight on how the house is built.
Yeah.
Actually, story. I had one client, she loved this house. It was beautiful. It definitely reminded her of where she was from. It was renovated, so everything looked pretty. Long story short, my inspection company, one of my inspection companies that I use often, went by, and they couldn't complete the inspection because there was no electricity, which they told us it would be on by that date, so that's why we scheduled it. He said, hey, I can't complete the inspection, but it looks like there's a ton of termite damage in the foundation the beams, the foundation beams, because this house was like Key West style, so the garage was underneath the house. And it was, so at that moment, she was like, okay, great. Well, prior to going ahead and paying for a full inspection because they couldn't get it done, they said, don't worry about it. We'll come back and do a real inspection once we have power. We went ahead, contacted the seller, and let him know, hey, look, this is a real issue. If you're willing to do this, we need to know at least for sure that you're willing to get this done. Right. Then we'll move forward with the full inspection and so on and so forth. It was just kind of one of those things where she felt like if this was done this way, she wasn't 100% sure about the rest of it, even though it looked gorgeous. So we ultimately backed away from that property, and she found something that was practically new in a phenomenal location. It worked out perfectly for her. Yeah. So I'm really happy with the way that almost everything. I can't say that anything worked out poorly to where I regret it. I don't. But it was a really good one where we were able to see a couple of things prior to even going through our entire inspection, to where she was confident enough to say, you know what, I'll move forward or not. So, yeah, we work with a team of professionals where they catch everything. Yeah. And then I do work with a couple of inspection companies that they have a buyback guarantee, actually, where if they didn't see something after a certain amount of months, I think it's like 6 months or something, they will buy your house back. Yeah, it's unreal, but it's true.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So it's just to work with the right people.
Who you work with is extremely important.
Yeah, awesome. It matters.
Thank you so much for being such a wealth of knowledge. And if anyone is questioning whether or not their house is sitting for too long, or just questioning the market in general, please join us. Like, share, subscribe, or share this with somebody that you think might find some value in it. Thank you again.
Thank you.